I mean, you thought it was just Game of Thrones and Avengers? No. It's Me Too. It's all coming to an end. This is like the spring of endings. We'll discuss the end, or at least the, what was I calling it earlier today? I was telling someone, calling it the mostly permanent hiatus of Coast2Coast Pinball. We'll discuss here on, I guess it's episode 251, something like that. It's a show. You're listening. Let's go. Welcome to Coast2Coast Pinball. My name is Nate Shivers. This is a podcast. It is a commentary, and I'm a man out of quarters. Welcome. So, I'm just going to keep this pretty short tonight. It is Tuesday night, May 21st, 2019, coming to you not live from a cold, windy, rainy, no spring having Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and it just dawned on me in the last couple weeks. So I had some really good times in the past few months playing pinball. Been playing a lot of pinball, everybody. And been playing at home, been playing out in arcades. I went to Las Vegas to Pin Masters and played there. Watched some high-level competition. I've been watching pinball. I watched Keith Elwin, the greatest pinball player of all time, win the New York City Pinball Championships 2 days ago. I watched Steve Bowden make an amazing last effort push on a Shadow Ball 3 to take second place. Very, very proud of my friend Steve. Good stuff. Like, pinball is a big part of me. But this show, Coast2Coast Pinball, this podcast, it isn't anymore for a lot of reasons. And if you don't want to hear why, it's no big deal. Don't listen. It's fine. But I feel like to put a cap on things, I need to discuss a little bit. So when I look back at what we've done here at Coast2Coast Pinball, we being me and this microphone and all the fun guests that we've had on, and people who allowed me to ask them questions and dive deep into this hobby that we're obsessed with. I started this out because I was traveling a lot alone as a sales rep, and I was living in California, and I was traveling to the East Coast a lot for my territory with Taylor Guitars. And I was listening to, I had found myself really back into pinball. I had started finding pinball out on the road when I was traveling, and the idea of buying games had dawned on me, and I bought a game. I had a game at home, and I was really getting into the pinball podcast and spooky pinball, and I just didn't feel there was enough talk about pinball happening. I loved those shows, and I couldn't wait for Don and Jeff's new show to drop, or Charlie to have first of the month hit and the episode come out. And at the time, it dawned on me that I could do a podcast. I had done college radio. I had done a podcast way back when about nothing really interesting, but I had done it before. I knew how to use recording software because I've been involved in music a lot. But I didn't have the super depth of knowledge like a lot of people in the hobby. So it was very much me diving into something that I had come back to from my childhood, which I had loved, and later in life, like, oh my gosh, pinball's amazing, and it was making a resurgence, and I was absolutely part of that wave. And I really wanted to talk about pinball and talk about what was going on with pinball, because there was exciting stuff happening, and it seemed like there was momentum online, and I had friends who were playing, and there were more games popping up, and it just seemed like I need, when I traveled, at the time, married, and traveling to the East Coast, I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. I'm a teetotaler, as they say. I played in rock bands most of my life, so live music's been a big part of what I would do, but I would often find myself in places like New York or Boston or anywhere in New England with, basically after 5 or 6 o'clock, if I wasn't having dinner with one of my clients, which I usually was not, I had a lot of free time. And pinball was like the greatest thing because I could do it by myself. I could go play alone and just enjoy the game. And I started really, wanting to know more about, the eras of the games and the types of the games and what was driving the renewed interest in pinball. This is like 2012, early 2012, late 2011, early 2012. Because I remember I had this conversation with Teresa at the time, and I think we were driving across like Wyoming or something. We were out in the middle of nowhere on a road trip between Idaho and Oklahoma. And we had listened to the Pinball podcast, and she goes, well, play the next episode. And I go, there is no next episode. That's it. And she goes, oh, well, what are we going to listen to now? And I probably forced her to listen to some pro wrestling podcast, or I don't know, some tech podcast or something. And she's like, you could totally do a pinball podcast, about like, buying your games and fixing your games. And I'm like, nah, that's not that interesting. But for like 4 or 5 months, it stewed in my head. Hey, I could do a podcast about just finding games out in the world. And like, I could do trip reports about when I go to places. And I was like starting to really realize that, hey, I'm going to start going to these festivals. People are having these big parties at California Extreme and Papa and these things and these events and tournaments. And I should start going to those. And I could talk about that. And maybe some people will enjoy it. I always figured a few hundred people might be interested in me talking about learning about pinball. So I finally did it. It took me about 6 months of just thinking about it. I finally did it. And it was, thank you, Pinside. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, guys. I used Pinside to really kind of push, hey, I got this podcast, new podcast. And some other podcasts popped up at the same time, because I think some other people were thinking the same thing. But it became like my only creative outlet. I didn't have a band anymore. I wasn't really recording music as much anymore. I wasn't, I just didn't have that like energy outlet that I had previous in my life, really. And it became that. And I had a lot of free time because my job had been very compartmentalized. I knew how to run a sales territory for a guitar or a musical instrument manufacturer, and I knew how much time it took to get the desired results at any given time in the year, and often I had a lot of time. I firmly believe in work smarter, not harder. The guys that work 14-hour days, good for you. You're wasting your life away doing that. There's a better way to do it. I've always thought that. But I ended up with time. And with that time, I threw it into the podcast, and it worked. People listened. I mean, I was begging my small little free thank you so much podcast garden, despite them having technical difficulties and issues over the years. Free podcast hosting website. I started emailing them, and they told me that I was like their number one downloaded podcast at the time. And I said, wow, how many downloads? And I don't remember what he told me at the time of that episode, but I want to say somebody emailed me back and said, you had an episode over 5,000 downloads recently. And I was like, blew my mind. I was like, what? 5,000 downloads? I didn't even know 5,000 people cared about pinball really that much. And this was early on. This was like in the first 20 episodes or so. And it also made me like reassess what I was doing on the show. It made me feel self-conscious in a way, because I was like, oh my gosh, people are listening. And then I would get the occasional email where I would screw something up and I'd get made fun of, and I'm like, oh, people much smarter than me about this are also listening. And I had started out with I don't really want to do interviews. I didn't want to do interviews. And then it was like, well, I don't want to do interviews with like the old guard, because that had kind of been done. I really, Clay Harrell's show, Topcast, had done like all these great interviews that I was never going to do better. Like, you're not going to top the Python Angelo Topcast. I just wasn't going to. I didn't want to try. So I didn't really want to interview the old guard. So then it was like, well, who could I interview that's newer, or maybe everyone doesn't know? And so I did some of that. But then eventually, you run into Josh Sharp, and Josh Sharp takes over your show, basically. But really, honestly, meeting Josh was a big deal, because I emailed Josh just kind of like, hey, I don't know if you'd be interested in coming on to my little show and talk about like IFPA and stuff. And little did I know, yeah, he did want to come on. And he's been great, and he's been an asset to me. He's taught me a lot about the history of pinball. I met his father, Roger Sharp, and his brother, Zach Sharp, through that. I have become friends with these people. I have had a lot of great times being humbled at pinball by these people. But the Josh thing was sort of a turning point, because it got me into a world of thinking about competitive pinball. I started going to shows and hanging out with these guys, who were then hanging out with the Keith Elwins, the Bowen Karens, and a lot of really great players and people who were working in design. I met Lyman Sheets through these people. So it really, all of a sudden, I was like in pinball, and then things happened that we covered on the show. We had the John Papaduke meltdown situation. We had the Predator meltdown situation. In those episodes, at this point I had a counter where I could see downloads, and oh my gosh, the show got popular. It got really popular. Like, we had 20,000 downloads of some of those episodes, which, I don't know. Is that bragging? It is what it is. There was 20,000 plus downloads of some of those episodes, which was unbelievable. So it was all systems go. And then I met the good people at Stern when I decided I wanted to do a YouTube show. I wanted to do this thing called Pinball with the Pros, which I still think is a great idea. And I still have dreams of like bringing that back and doing it. And, you never know when I might have one that was recorded a long time ago, still sitting in the thing on this little disc right here that I might bring out and edit and drop. But yeah, so Pinball with the Pros brought me to the Stern factory to do an episode, do The Walking Dead with Lyman Sheets, and so I meet, the leadership people at Stern Pinball, and I start talking to them, and we have a lot of same philosophical ideas about business and sales, and I work in sales, and I had been a sales rep, and I have to kind of credit John and Dave for sort of going like, hey, you have some great ideas. We're a little smaller company than your current company. And basically, they said, you should talk to us about maybe doing something. And it opened up my eyes in a way of like, yeah, I could do something like that. I could lead a sales team. I could do something bigger. I'm ready for that. Because my dream job was being a sales rep in the musical instrument industry. Like, I landed my first sales repping job at 23 years old. Nobody got those jobs at 23. Nobody. When I got hired for PV Electronics in 2003, I met other sales reps who were like, 50, 60 years old looking at me like, how did you get that job? And I'm like, I don't know. I got lucky that I found a sales manager who wanted younger people on his team and gave me a shot, and I had my dream job. So I had moved to Taylor Guitars later on because I felt they were the best company in the industry, and I wanted to work for the best company in the industry. I just thought I had my dream job. And Stern kind of was like, hey, you seem to be really into pinball. We kind of need somebody. You should come here. And I was, hesitant. And the more I talked to them, the more I really liked them. The more I spent time with John and George Gomez, I was like, I would love to work here. This would be amazing. And Jody Dankberg and all these people, I just thought, I will fit in here. This will work really well. And it's been if you don't know this story, it's told on an episode a long time ago, but Taylor came to me in the midst of my 4-week notice that I gave them and was like, hey, why are you leaving? And I sort of told them the story about why I was leaving. The VP of HR came to me when I was actually, I forget what I was doing. I was in part of the company I never really would be in, but I was over there for my credit card had gotten stolen or compromised, and I had to get a new card, and I was over in HR. And 2 weeks before I was leaving to move to Chicago, had a house rented in Chicago, and the VP of HR is like, I have had you in mind for something for a long time, but you're leaving, and it's probably too late, but you just gave me this reason why you're leaving, and it wasn't just money or, power or anything. It was like you had visions of doing something big. I have visions of you doing something big with us. Would you at least listen to me? And I, of course, listened to them, and it involved moving here to Amsterdam and moving to Europe and managing this sales team who were just the best bunch of guys in the world. I have the 7 greatest salespeople you could ever ask for. And I just knew moving to Europe at this point in my life, in my late 30s, was never going to get that opportunity again for a great company that's asking me to stay. So as really hard and difficult as it was to not go work at Stern and not go try and lead Stern into the next step of their growth, I didn't go. And that was the hardest call in the world, was calling John Buscaglia and being like, hey man, I'm not coming, after I had signed a contract. I really felt like I was going back on my word, but I knew it was also the right choice for me, and it's turned out to have been a great thing, and I will be a better professional for these years I spend in Amsterdam with Taylor, and who knows where that leads me in the future. I don't know. I could be here for the next 20 years. I don't know. But it's been great. However, I'm in a completely different role at my company now. My life is so much different here in 2019 than it was at the beginning of 2016. Like nothing is the same. I am in a small office in Europe. There are normally 15 of us, currently only 13 of us. We're looking to hire 2 new people, made some changes. I'm the top ranking person in our office, so things just flow to me. It's a lot of responsibility, and I have 7 outside people too that directly report to me, and I'm in love with what I'm doing, but it's a lot of work and it's a lot of mind share. Like, whereas my previous jobs I sort of had in this little box, as I say, I never feel like I have this in a box. Every time I get like where you kind of you push back from your computer and you're like, all right, that project's done, or you get back from a long trip and you're like, oh man, I just saw 25% of all the business in Europe in 2 weeks. Like, oh, now I can jump into the next thing because there's more going on, and I just don't have that those blocks of time where I can like read Pinside and obsess over pinball news and, you know, sit and text back and forth with my pinball friends about the nuance of every new release or what's coming, or argue the legitimacy of a theme that might be coming out. I don't have that time. If I did that now, I would be doing the current people I work with a huge disservice. So I can't do that. And it's been a crazy couple years. You know, my marriage ended. Teresa and I decided to part ways, and that's been a big change. I live alone now, and I had to build a whole thing on my own here, and it's different. Life's different. It's good. Life's really good, but it's just different. And I have been hanging on to Coast Pinball, like hanging on to it because I love it. Like, I love it. I have like 4 computers, which is ridiculous, I know. I literally had to like plug this computer back in and let it update and get the recording all going. Every computer I have, the screen has my Coast2Coast Pinball logo on it. Like, I do identify part of myself as, oh yeah, Coast2Coast Pinball, that's me. You know, people that I work with know I almost went to work for a pinball company. So people like jokingly, oh, he's the pinball wizard, ha ha ha. Anytime pinball comes up in anything, I get an email. Oh, hey, look, you know, the owner of Taylor Guitars will forward me articles about pinball, or we were in a store in Germany and they had a Kiss pinball machine and it was like, hey, Nate, play this. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And he's like, no, really, play it. And I'm like, okay, I'll play it. So like, I'm the pinball guy. Like, pinball's a big part of my life. Coast2Coast Pinball, I love it. I created this thing that people liked, and I have the emails to prove that people like. I know they like it. I still see my shirts when I go to big events. It's like, oh my gosh, thank you. So I've been hanging on to this idea that I could keep Coast2Coast Pinball going on some level, and it's not that I don't have time to record and edit an episode. I can record and edit this show. I have no notes for tonight. This is all free form. I have nothing. And this whole thing, if this ends up being like 25 minutes or so, this whole thing should take 25 minutes to record, 20 minutes to edit, 40 minutes to do some artwork, blah, blah, total 2 hours, and I can have this out. So the actual recording, no problem. I can do it any night of the week. I've got time. I work normal hours. It's the mind share time, the part of like taking notes. My notebooks for the first 250 episodes of Coast2Coast Pinball are crazy. Scribbles and lines and circles drawing arrows over to here, and no, talk about this, and 5 fast thoughts on the back page of this, and like I would think about stuff during the day. I'd be like, oh, that'd be a great thing to like try and dial in and talk about that. And I put a lot of effort into it because I wanted it to be good. And sometimes the episodes weren't always good, and I would be like annoyed at myself, like, oh, that one wasn't really good, and I'd try and make the next one better. So I could do a podcast once, twice a week, no problem, but I can't do Coast2Coast Pinball the way that I did it that made people like it. And I know that now. I've known that. I've just been trying to like, you know, deny it and say, no, I can keep it going because I'm still going to go, you know, going to Pinburg this summer. I'm flying to Milan and going to the World Championships, IFPA 2019, IFPA 19, whatever number it is. I'm, going to go I'm not playing it, obviously, not that good, but I'm going to go watch. I think it'll be cool to go see. It's, an hour and a half flight away or whatever to Italy, so I'm going to go do it. Pinball's a big part of me, but being able to have the energy and have the excitement. And honestly, the other thing is, there's so many people who are so good right now. Like, so good at covering the day-to-day. Like, I don't need to. Like, there's no need for Nate Shivers to be the guy, like, commenting and talking about the news that broke on Pinside. There's lots of people. I watched the Straight Down the Middle YouTube show. covering like the first look at Willy Wonka, the Jersey Jack Pinball Willy Wonka. And I got to tell you, Greg and Zach like are doing fantastic work. Like that video where they put together all the gameplay footage and Pat Lawler and all the rest of the Jersey Jack crew talking about the game. I was just like, oh, this is really good. Like this is quality stuff. And that's awesome. But it also makes me feel like, well, I don't need to like jump on my microphone and like spout off about Willy Wonka. There's this amazing video for everyone to watch. And what am I really going to add to it other than my opinion? And sure, I have opinions. Everyone's got one. And I got one too. But like, I always wanted to bring a little bit more analytical side to it. And I think people are doing that. I think, and I just don't have the ability or just the timing doesn't work for me to be like, first to launch with take on this. And so that takes a little bit of the shine off it for me. I really have enjoyed doing some of the interviews we've done in the past couple years and like, trying to pull out the stories of the games out of people. I love talking about pinball. So like I considered, well, maybe I just turn the show into just interviews. Maybe I always have a guest host and I can let them sort of carry me. We did the show with Gene X Wong a few months ago. I thought that was really fun. That was good. But it's also, it's also hard because still if I'm inviting somebody on, I really need notes. I need to be able to do it right. So if there's not like a solid subject or a game or it takes a lot. So the idea of Coast2Coast Pinball was going to be this like traveling guy who's going to these places, he's doing these things, he's meeting these people, and he's documenting it like a live, not live audio journal about his love of pinball. And it just isn't that now. So I texted good friends, emailed good friends the other day and said, I got to shut this down. And one of them immediately wrote back, about time, you've been kidding yourself. And I'm like, oh man, see, they know, everyone knows. And I'm sure if you've followed my show and you're listening to this when you're like, well, yeah, dude, you're like, you never put shows. I think I put 6 shows out all of last year. So I get it. But just for me personally, I will tell you, I've been living in a lot of denial, thinking that, no, I got this. So I'm not saying I'll never talk about pinball again, because I think there could be a day or an opportunity where Coast2Coast Pinball is just back full on. I might be retired by then, but who knows? So that's why I'm kind of saying like this is clearly the ending of something. It is a mostly permanent hiatus. I have a couple projects. I have a project I want to do, an audio project that will go onto this RSS feed and be launched through Coast2Coast Pinball that I think, and I know someone's screaming at me right now with profanity towards me about this because we should have done this already and it should be done and out. But I think it will be one of the most historically important pieces of pinball audio ever. Ever. By a long shot. It will be absolutely like a time capsule piece. And we're going to do that. And that's going to happen. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But that's going to happen. It'll be done by the summer. I promise that that's happening. So I'm not gone forever, is all I'm saying. And you never know. There could be other opportunities. Things pop up. You do things. So I guess I just wanted to come on here in this format. Instead of just posting on Facebook or on Pinside and just saying the show's over, I wanted to come out here and really say to anybody listening now or who listened from the beginning or anywhere in the middle on, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the emails over the years. I sold hundreds of t-shirts at one point. Like, thank you. Like, that was awesome. That made some of the trips not be as, financially rough on me at the time, just having some extra money to go to some of the places, do some of the things. I have to thank, all the manufacturers and all the people involved in the pinball industry, because I got to say, everybody has been so cool to me. Like, way cooler than I would have ever expected. Everyone from, obviously, Stern Pinball, Jersey Jack Pinball has been great, Spooky Pinball. I mean, I love these people. These are people I consider friends. So, anyway, blah, 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 blah. I know, you get it. I just wanted to come on here and say thank you to everyone, and all the guests that came on. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for the putting up with the technical difficulties that seem to arise. I would hate if I never told this story. I don't know if I've ever told this on the show or not. Maybe I did one time. I don't know. But the first show that Josh Sharp came on, Coast2Coast Pinball, years ago, I lost all the audio of the interview from my side of the conversation. So I didn't know Josh very well at the time, and I was like, oh man, this guy's like, he's in the Sharp family, and he's the president of the IFPA. I can't call him back and want to do the interview again, which now I know I totally could have, and he would have probably liked it, because he would have gotten to do 2 pinball podcast interviews in like 2 days, which that would be happy Josh. So instead, I stayed up till like 3 a.m, and I went in and tried to figure out what all my questions were to his answers, and then re-recorded all the audio from my side against his audio track. And if you go back and listen, that's what it is. And I can hear it, but I don't know if anyone ever caught it. So I don't know if I might have told that on the show before. I know I've told Josh that, certainly, but yeah. So that's a fun little piece of my Coast to Coast pinball history. So anyway, in the effort to wrap this up, I don't even know what to say. Thank you all. I appreciate it. I'm sure I'll see some of you at Pinburg. Thanks for listening. Support the other people who are doing good work out there. It means a lot to those people to get emails, even if the email is just like, hey, great show. Like, I'm telling you, that means a lot to all those people, because there are times when people are doing these podcasts where they're doing it for themselves, they're doing it for the creative outlet, and sometimes you question it and you go, am I wasting my time doing this? And I never felt I was wasting my time, and I had great support from the community, and I always appreciated that. So I need to go finish making dinner. I'm starving. I need to get some food in me and answer some emails and get to bed, because it's a school night, and I got school tomorrow, if you will. So anyway, until next time, whenever that is, whatever that is, I wish you all good health, happiness. I always say be nice to each other at the end of the shows. I say, take care of yourselves, because I do mean that. Take care of yourselves. You only have one life, so do what you can to, use it well, whatever that means for you. Be nice to each other. There's some like kind of jerks around the world. I don't know if you've ever noticed it, just a little between you and me. Some people are just kind of like not nice. Like, what's the deal with that? Like, stop it. You don't have to be my best friend, but just like be nice. Just be nice to each other, and definitely play more pinball. Support people who are routing games. Go put money in their games on route. Buy games, buy used games, buy old beat up games that need love, buy brand new games. Support new manufacturing. Play more pinball. Play video pinball. Play everything you can. Go to the festivals. Go to the shows. Try competition. You might like it. Maybe you won't. You might like it. Anyway, so that's what I always say. I say take care of yourselves. Be nice to each other and play more pinball. I say the same thing to you now. This has been Coast to Coast Pinball, and I will see you next time. Hey man, how are you? Yeah, that's why I messaged you. No, it's not. I didn't know. Yeah, I just recorded it. I'm gonna sit down and edit it in a second. I need to just get it out though. It's gonna be late here. I got early morning tomorrow. Yeah. No, I didn't want to Yeah. No, I didn't tip the hat of what we're gonna do. No, well, that'll be a surprise. That'll be fun. No, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Yeah. No, that is 251 episodes. I think there was an extra episode in there somewhere that I didn't count. It was like maybe a half episode a long time ago. Yeah. No, thank you. No, it's good. No. No. I'm excited. Hey man, what's the worst thing that happens? I like just bring the show back someday? No, this is going to be a fun project. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he sent me the files. I need the vector file though, because I can't edit what he sent me if I'm going to do the logo. Yeah. No, I already emailed him and just asked him if he can ask somebody. I don't know who designed that originally, but if they've got to have a vector format of it somewhere, because I don't know what font they're using. And yeah. Okay. No, it's late here. It's what is it? It's 10:12. Yeah. No, I'm gonna put it out tonight. So it's Tuesday afternoon in the U.S. No, I'll get it out tonight. I would expect us to probably have something out, not super soon, but you know, a couple months, 6 weeks, something like that. That's my guess. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, get to it. No, thanks for calling. I just wanted to message you and let you know. I just kind of put a lid on it there. That was the end. It was a good run. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks, sir. Okay.